What's going on, everybody? So today I want to talk to you about inventions. If you've got an invention in mind and you've got some concerns about the industry, or you've got concerns about how to bring it to light to make this invention without somebody else stealing it, that's the subject that this video is going to be on. And let me preface right off the bat: I am probably not the highest, smartest expert you could talk to on this. I just feel like I have some input that'll be useful to a lot of people. But don't take me at your final word. Don't consider me a lawyer. I am not. This is not legal advice. I'm just coming from a 3D print shop who does inventions for people on a regular basis. My input on it, how to protect yourself, and some of the resources that you can go to, and some things to avoid in case you're worried about certain things. So let's start off with you're somebody, you've got an invention, and you do not have modeling skills. We'll talk about if you do have modeling skills. So you need somebody else to come up with this invention, and you know the general concern is well, who can I trust to make this for me? And what I would say is it just depends on your amount of money and who you can go to, how many people you could feel out and get quotes from, because it's going to start off with a provisional patent. And again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not even going to know all these terms perfectly, but I've dealt with this so much that I'm learning a lot about it. My understanding is a provisional patent is the before you have a product patent. It's the idea patent. It's the, hey, here's what I'm going to make, and here is how it's going to be used. So that when you go to somebody else to have it made, if they steal that idea and make it, you can say, look, my provisional patent came first. I took it to this guy, and that information somehow got out to either he copied it from you or he gave it to somebody else and they copied it. And then you can hold them liable for that. So getting a provisional patent would be number one if you have the money and time to do it. To protect yourself. The number two thing, and what I would put at the same level as number one, 1.5, is NDAs, non-disclosures agreements, and potentially even a non-compete agreement. You know, so if you're going to a 3D printer, and this is something that you could get 3D printed instead of some other manufacturing method, and 3D printing would be profitable enough for you and whatever service bureau you're using. If you have a non-compete saying, hey, you can only print this object for me, you know, you can't give this to anybody else, you can't print these on your own and sell them to anyone else. That's important too. Now, one caveat related to the 3D modeling: some service bureaus go by the law, and from my understanding of the law on 3D modeling is whoever physically modeled the item has ownership rights over it. So for instance, this ring here, yeah, you know, let's say you brought me this idea on paper. You said we need to make it this, you know, wide. We need this little triangle here. We need these holes. Okay, so I make that in my computer, and now I'm making the file for you. And then one day you're like, you know what? Like, my friend has a farm, and I know I can trust him, a print farm, and I'm going to see if he can print these. And you ask the service bureau or me or whatever for this file. Well, some companies will be like, well, hey, since I modeled it, I have the rights to it. That's my file. You paid me to make it, and I'm making it for you, but I am not sharing that file unless you now pay for ownership rights of it. So I personally don't do that. If you're paying me to make a file, as far as I'm concerned, you own the rights to it. Now, that might just be because my business is small. Maybe that'll change in the future a little bit, but I'm always going to try to help people out, at least me personally. I'm not out here to steal your ideas. I'm not out here to take your file and, you know, charge you $400 to make the file. Not this one. This was much cheaper. But I'm not going to charge you X dollars to make the file and then another X dollars when you ask for it. To me, that's not cool, and I would be personally upset if I did that. So if you're going to a service bureau, someone like me, you can ask up front, hey, if I have you make this model, are you going to give me rights to those files? Are you going to give me the files so that I have ownership over them? So make sure that if you're getting something made, you have ownership over it. And then, okay, another thing. If you're, where is it? Sorry, I'm speaking very off the cuff here, so just bear with me for a couple seconds in between my trains of thought changing. when you go to get it manufactured, if you're here in the U.S. or you're in another country, China is known for yoinking ideas. So if it's something to where it's like, hey, this is great, you got it 3D printed, you like the service bureau, but they've got 5, 10, 30 printers, and you need 50 to 500,000, a few million parts, you're going to have to get it manufactured in another way, and you're probably going to have to go through another company. You want to make sure that whoever you're going through isn't going to use a company in China, or that you don't go directly through a Chinese company. Now, it's not saying that all Chinese companies are going to steal your ideas. I don't believe that. I believe that a lot of the guys over there are just like us, and they don't want to do that. But there is an interest in making money. There are, nation states, the CCP and other countries that if it's, an amazing idea and they can somehow profit off of it, I'm sure they would love to take it. So you just want to keep it out of their hands as long as possible. And that's another thing is if you're afraid of it ever getting in somebody's hands, you probably just have to stop worrying about it. If it's that good of an idea and it's that great, most likely, at least in my opinion, and again, this is nowhere near an expert opinion, it's probably going to get ripped off. I mean, everything great that I've seen is well copied, ripped off, used in another way, and as long as you patent it and like once you maybe get the object, you go back through and you look at your thing and you say, okay, if I was going to copy this 10 different ways, can I do it 10 different ways? Can you easily get to 10 different ways of copying it? And you copyright all of those. It might not be the way you make it. It might be an inferior way of making it. It might be an inferior shape. But what you're looking for is to lock down anyone else from being able to use anything similar to your idea. Now, you might not have the funds or the means to do that. That's okay, too. You don't have to, but you're going to want to do it. And what that can protect you with, it might not stop somebody in China from making it, but it'll stop somebody in America or China or any other country from making it, say, in China or India or whatever, and then selling it in the U.S. So if you're in the U.S. and it's a U.S. market part or it's a worldwide part, at least you can make sure that you've got your market. And, if you're making enough money at this, you can then hire a company to kind of sift the web and find any other similar products and make sure that, no one's selling one of your patented ideas. Now, that said, too, if it's a pretty decent idea and you haven't heard of it, it doesn't mean that somebody else hasn't already patented it. So it is a good idea if you have the money to talk to a patent attorney or talk to someone who does patent research. Specifically, it would be patent research, and say, here, you've now signed an NDA. You can't talk about or share my ideas with anyone. I need you to see if anyone else has thought of this idea first and put a patent on it. And as long as you're good there, then you go through with your provisional patent and everything. That probably should have been added earlier. Check to see if everything's been patented, get a provisional patent, make people sign NDAs, have someone make your thing. Once it's made, you can then get your final patent. I forget what the exact term is, your product patent. There's a specific term for when you send in a physical item to the patent office, they look at it and say, okay, this product exists, this is its physical shape and diameters, and it will go out there. Now, to be clear, too, when you're going online and creating a patent, from my understanding, when you put it out there, that's public information. So creating a patent is essentially sharing the design with everyone else. What the patent is doing is granting you legal rights to sue anybody else that copies it. So whether you make it and don't tell anyone and then start selling it, and don't patent it in hopes that no one sees your design first, there's a good chance that someone will take it apart, especially if they look and say, oh, this thing's not patented. They'll take it apart, reverse engineer it, start making it, patent it, and then lock you out. That is a thing. So the patents are important if you're going to do it. Now, if it's something like, this could be an invention that will be short-lived, that will be something quick. For instance, fidget spinners. Fidget spinners haven't been around for a super long time. There's been fidgety things, there's been stress balls, and those related type products. But putting a bearing and a couple weights around it and then spinning it in your hand, that wasn't a thing until I got started in 3D printing. And I got started like 3-4 months after fidget spinners became a thing. So I printed a handful, but I was kind of on the tail end of it. I didn't have any unique designs. So, I missed out on a lot of fidget spinner money. But if somebody had patented that fidget spinner or patented a certain design of that fidget spinner, they could hold on to that market for a little bit. But let's say, that market was only hot for 6 months. Is it worth a patent that costs tens of thousands of dollars or even, $3,000 to $5,000? Again, I'm not sure on patent costs. I think it depends on which stage you are and stuff like that. So I don't trust me saying anything on the prices of patents. But is it worth patenting in a case like that? Probably not. It's about beating to market. So if you were the first person to come out with a fidget spinner, or a new fidget spinner design, a Batman, probably not a Batman design, a design that couldn't be copyrighted by Disney or Marvel or whatever, and you're selling them like hotcakes, but somebody else is eventually going to do it better or faster or whatever. Not necessarily faster, but do it first. It's about getting to the market first. So you want to get your product out there. You want to sell as many as possible, and move on to the next one. A lot of inventors, from what I see, are multiple inventors. Some of the most successful inventors I've met invent tons of things, and it's like 1 to 5 out of maybe 40 or 150 that took off and made tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars. You might have an idea that's worth multi-millions of dollars, or a $5 million cut every 3 months for licensing. That's a thing. I've seen it come in and out of my shop. I've met some of these people that are getting paid out, $5 million every 3 months just to sell their idea to another company, or just to let those companies sell it. And all he had to do was come up with it and make one. So you definitely want to do that if you can. That would be great. But your invention might not sell as hot as it would. You might not have the good marketing. There's a lot of different things. So I would say if your first invention doesn't take off, or it becomes too hard to manufacture, it's not, the right price at the end of the day for the market, I wouldn't feel discouraged about it. Don't feel discouraged. It's just another, attempt on your way to $1 million idea or invention. But if you do have that super revolutionary idea and you're wanting to, keep it real specific, then just treat it with the own weight that you feel it'll be there, and try to surround yourself with people you trust. Okay, so let's say that you are a modeler, or you have at least the skills to use 3D modeling software. How do you know that the software is not going to steal stuff from you? This would be something that you would probably have a lawyer, or you would spend the hours and hours to look at the terms and agreements of when you download and start using a software. So some of these softwares, a lot of these softwares are connected to the internet. We need the internet to go in and out of things. So, if you have one of these softwares, there's a good chance it could be connected to the internet. Now, logistically, if you're just making things, there's probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of people making things on this software. And that's any one of them. You can pick any one. I guarantee you there's probably tens of thousands of people using it every single day. Brand new models, 2 to 5 models a day, or sections of models made a day. There's no way to program or algorithm to sift through those and pick something out that will be the next revolutionary thing. It could be from, a paperclip holder or the fidget spinner thing to, a mechanical assembly like that. You would have to literally have a team of thousands of people snooping through people's files illegally to check out what they got. But let's say in their terms and agreements, they say that, hey, anything in here can be used by us and is already, patented by us. So obviously, if there's some software out there that's just going to steal your ideas for using it in the first place and use them, then, avoid that one. But I don't know of any that do that. I think I have heard of 1 or 2 that do operate like that. I don't remember if it was Tinkercad or one of the other ones, but like they reserve the rights to the files at the end of the day or some nonsense like that. But I haven't heard anyone complaining about that, or mentioning that, hey, Tinkercad will steal your ideas and then make it, and Tinkercad's over here selling all these product ideas that were made on their platform. I don't think that's happening. I don't think as a mass that is happening. I don't think, no matter how revolutionary it is, a software would do that. But let's say there is a software that would do that, and you have to use it. You need to use that specific software for its set of tools, and that will give you